Good morning, afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Age Weather Forecast, and we are watching out for back-to-back severe weather outbreaks. Day three has now gone a moderate risk, which is very, very uncommon, and it must take a ton of confidence in model trends to go a day three moderate. This is obviously very uncommon to see, so we are definitely watching out probably for a very significant tornado outbreak with a lot of confidence across Mississippi and as well across Louisiana. I'm going to be getting into that throughout much of the video. So if you guys know anyone who lives there, I would recommend you guys share the video because we are watching out for a significant event to unfold on March 22nd, as well March 21st, the day before. We do have an enhanced risk for Texas as well, which is going to be tornado driven, as well going to be hail driven. So we're going to be really watching out for that as well. So we're going to be looking at those 2 days in today's forecast. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in the video. So let's now go ahead and get a look at the overall day two outlook, since this is obviously before the day three outlook. So this is going to be very much related. So the day three is actually related towards the day two. So it's going to be the same trough. You're going to be seeing the same low jet. You're going to be seeing basically the same thing. So this is going to be basically back to back severe weather outbreaks, with day three obviously being much worse when it comes to tornadoes for for compared to day two. So here's the overall outlook from the SPC. They did stay enhanced, which I actually expected. I don't see the need to go moderate for day two just yet. So maybe it'll be like a day one thing. But I really think this is going to be more of an enhanced worthy event when it comes to hail and tornadoes. I don't see anything too necessarily crazy that would make me want to go moderate. So definitely a smart move to see enhanced risk. So this includes a lot of East Central Texas, including Houston, Austin, Pasadena, Waco, and Kylene. So they actually did push it to enhanced risk further to the coast. So this will include, like I said, the Houston area, as well includes really big cities like Austin. And then just outside the enhanced risk to the north, we do have areas like DFW, as well we do have areas like San Antonio to the south and Arlington just to the north as well. And then the marginal does include just those general areas I could guess some maybe scattered wind reports and maybe scattered tornado reports. But yeah, here's the overall enhanced risk. Like I said, it is going to be tornado and hail driven. So we do have a 10 sig. That biggest tornado risk will stay pretty far south when it comes to the enhanced risk. So the enhanced risk does go all the way up towards around right here. But again, that tornado threat's going to stay pretty isolated to the southwest. So we are going to be watching out for our greatest tornado potential with those discrete, those prefrontal discretes, and as well eventually the overnight QLCS. We'll be watching out for our biggest tornado threat down there towards areas like Houston, Pasadena, Waco, Kylene, and College Station. And then we have a 10 sig, and that 10 sig is actually, like I said, further southwest compared or southeast. I've been saying southwest this whole time. I meant southeast. It will be more southeast. So you can kind of just tell the biggest tornado potential will be pretty much in the far southeastern corner of the enhanced risk. And that 10 sig pretty much covers almost all the 10, but again, it includes areas like Sugarland. By really watching out for those areas in College Station, Houston, Pasadena, I think you guys are definitely going to be on high alert, should be on high alert for tomorrow's severe weather, because there's going to be some the best conditions and instability and everything just really points the fingers towards east, central, and southeastern Texas for the tornado threat. And then we have a pretty large, widespread 5%, which includes around 6 million people, includes San Antonio, Austin. It does include areas like Beaumont, Round Rock, and as well even towards western Louisiana. And that overnight threat, which is being slept on, do not sleep on that tornado threat overnight. And then 2% includes areas like DFW. So that really DFW isn't in a huge tornado threat. You guys are really not going to be getting the instability too much later. But you guys should definitely keep a close eye on that wind and hail. So here's the wind threat, 50%, not even 6. So the wind threat is going to be pretty much isolated. It's not going to be huge necessarily wind threat with this. We could be seeing some significant winds when it comes to the QLCS later in the overnight hours, but not going to be seeing anything too crazy. Those discrete cells, you're going to be really watching out for that hail and that tornado specifically. But like I said, DFW, you guys would definitely have to keep a closer eye on that hail. You guys are just south of that 30%. And then we have a 30 sig and a 15 sig. So that kind of sig's going to be pretty much kind of in place in the kind of that middle and as well western part of that enhanced risk. So closer to that dry line is where you'll be seeing that more significant lapse rates, as well more significant hail. So that 30% in general includes around 9 million people, including Houston, Austin, Pasadena, Waco, and Kylene. And then that 30 or that significant severe includes around 3 million people, including Austin, Waco, Kylene, Round Rock, and Temple, Texas. And then we have a pretty widespread 15%, which includes DFW. So let's go ahead and look at the overall wording here. So again, we are going to be looking at possibly for, let's see here, we can just look at the overall wording. So we're going to be looking at a few strong tornadoes will be possible through the evening into the overnight hours. We're going to be looking at large hails expected with the initial dryline storms, along with potential for locally damaging winds. We can just see, again, there's going to be a dry line, while other ongoing storms further east become increasingly surface-based as the boundary layer warms, with very strong mid-level southeasterlies, 70 to 90 knots, spreading across the southern plains atop the low-level southerlies and southeasterlies. Shear will support supercells. So basically, the overall orientation between basically between 1 to 6 kilometers is going to be very much supportive of discrete cells. So that's why we are watching out for pretty much a big tornado threat as well, a big hail threat. But let's now get into the big day 3, which is a moderate. This is a 45% SIG probabilistic outlook, and it includes areas like southeastern and just southern Mississippi in general, southwestern Mississippi, and as well includes southeastern Louisiana. And it includes a pretty highly populated area, including 2 million. It includes the capital of both Mississippi and the capital of Louisiana, which would be Baton Rouge and Jackson. And then it includes Hattiesburg, Clinton, and Pearl, Mississippi. So it includes these really big cities. I mean, Jackson and Baton Rouge are obviously the capitals of both states. And again, the fact that we have moderate 3 days out is very, very uncommon. I mean, this is should definitely be an eye opener for these areas that live in these areas. And then the day three the enhanced risk has really much expanded further into Alabama, further northward. For those who saw it yesterday, the 30% probabilistic outlook, it was obviously a little bit smaller, so definitely is expanding as a moderate risk has been issued. Around 4 million people in the enhanced risk includes New Orleans, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Gulfport, Mississippi, so other big cities. So even enhanced risk in 3 days out is really significant. So we are watching out for widespread cover when it comes to either very large discrete mode or a tornado spawning QLCS. The storm mode isn't necessarily guaranteed, or really we don't have the best idea of exactly the storm mode, but we are going to be watching out either way. Tornado spawner storm. So let's go ahead and look at the overall wording here. We're going to be watching out for, again, we are going to be watching out for a potential very significant event. So there's a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms for portions of southern Louisiana into Mississippi. We're watching out for, including potential for significant tornadoes. We're going to be looking at an upper trough, an expansive area, highly amplified cyclonic flow. Let's see if we get any really good warning. So regional severe weather outbreak. So they include a regional severe weather outbreak. So the fact that they included a severe weather outbreak 3 days out is very, very strong wording, including potential for several tornadoes. A few potentially significant remains evident for Tuesday. Severe storms, including tornado risk, will likely be ongoing at the start of the period across the Sabine River Valley area of east and western Louisiana as a service cold front moves steadily east. So they mentioned the fact of significant tornadoes 3 days out. So definitely really strong wording from the SPC. But let's now go ahead and get a look at the models for both these days. So let's now go ahead and look at the NAM. We're going to be looking at the NAM 3 kilometer for tomorrow, and then we'll be looking at just the NAM for day 3. But let's not go ahead and look at the 850 millibar. This is the latest. Actually, this is 60. I don't know why we're looking at 60. We should be looking at the 12Z. So we're going to be looking at the latest 12Z NAM run for tomorrow. So either way, we're seeing significant 500 millibar and a significant 850 millibar flow. So we're going to be seeing a really strong, very strong kind of stream or ribbon of flow with this 850 millibar. By 12Z, we're already gonna be seeing around 56 to almost 60 knots, and then by 18Z, this 850 millibar as the mid-level cyclone starts to really amplify, and we start to get these height falls. We are gonna be seeing a strengthening 850 millibar, really a strong 850 millibar flow. So we're going to start getting surpassing 65 knots already at 18Z. So with something like that, with that flow that strong, as well perpendicular toward your 500 millibar flow, you're going to be seeing very strong discrete cells already popping off. However, again, this instability really won't kick in until a little bit later. So by around 21Z, we're going to start to see these more widespread discrete start to really blow up. So by 21Z, you're going to be seeing around 70 knots at your 850 millibar, which is absolutely insane. Plus your 500 millibars is going to be really over 90 knots. So you are talking about a very significant kinematic support with this event. So we just click anywhere in that kind of 10% sig, you're going to be seeing a really large and enlarged hodograph with a lot of streamwise vorticity. So these are your ideal photographs, although it is slightly capped because again, we are going to start to see finally this instability start to kick in. But you're going to start to see a lot of things going on by 21Z across specifically the kind of southeastern portion of the risk. So that's why we're going to start seeing that 10 sig as far southeast as it is, because that's where you're going to be seeing your best instability. It's going to be matching up pretty well with your kinematic support. So look at this very large streamwise vorticity hodograph. You have backed winds, you have very strong veering, no veer back veer. You have 1300 cape, very similar to Mixler cape. You have pretty much your LCL is pretty low as well. You have a pretty significant EML. So you're going to start to see a lot of instability kind of kicking in after 21Z. And then by 0Z, that's when the instability starts to really kick in. So we go anywhere near East Central Texas, you're going to be seeing a pretty large and large hodograph. You have really good somewhat perpendicular 1 to 6 kilometer wind barb orientation. You have very strong backed winds, strong EML. Again, you have a lot of a storm relative helicity, so you're going to be seeing some strong vertical vorticity as with that. And then if we go kind of toward that 10 sig, again, really large photographs, but again, really significant 850 millibar flow. And that's going to continue to the overnight hours, so going to be continuing to see that apparent tornado threat overnight. But let's not go ahead and get a look here at the overall warm sector. And why is it why I don't know why it's going to 6Z. I had it at 12Z. Okay, whatever. So let's go ahead and look at 12Z here on the NAM, and then we look at the NAM 3 kilometers. So look at this by around 15Z, you're starting to get these dew points hitting the upper 60s across the coastal Texas area, and then your 10% SIG, it's going to start getting into the 60s, lower 60s by 15Z. And once that 850 millibar flow starts to really amplify, you're going to be seeing these dews that have been sitting up in the Gulf of Mexico for weeks is now going to finally get pushed to the north. And that's going to really expand your warm sector. So by 21Z, look at this warm sector. There's your low level circulation, and your cyclone is going to be towards the northeast portion of the or northwest portion in that Texas Panhandle. So that's where you're going to start to see kind of that a lot of that forcing coming on with the front, as well. Your dry line's going to be right here, as well, bringing in some significant forcing. So you're going to be seeing some good forcing, then your instability is going to finally kick in. So 21, so you have a pretty good warm sector. I mean, look at that pretty ideal photograph, and see how the after really around 21Z, your instability starts to really kick in. 2,300 cape, 1,300, almost 1,400 mixed layer cape. You have really high storm relative helicity at surface to 1 kilometer. Really strong to back to wind with your southeasterlies, and then it strongly veers. And then you have a really good EML there. It's going to really help kick in your instability as well. And there you see a really good streamwise hodograph. And let's go somewhere else towards the 10 sig near College Station. Another really good hodograph. You have really perfect orientation between your really strong directional and as well pretty strong speed shear, which is going to give you that streamwise vorticity. You have really good instability here. You see your cape is going to start to thicken out with a really strong EML. And then by 0Z, this instability will start to kick in furthermore, and you're continuing to see these really enlarged photographs. So again, you're really watching out for your main tornado risk more towards down here near College Station and just north of Houston, and as well just east of Austin. But as we're now getting to the overnight hours, 3Z and 6Z, you're going to start seeing now a lot stronger kind of discrete starting to develop, and you will see that when I show you guys the composite relativity. You guys are going to start to see a really strong apparent overnight threat across the College Station area. So definitely going to watch out for a very long term or a long lasting discrete mode. And then eventually in the overnight hours, you start to see kind of that kind of squall start to move in, and then you see that squall starting to kind of develop, and that'll move in towards Louisiana and Arkansas in the overnight hours. So definitely watching out for Shreveport and that general area when it comes to the overnight hours on Monday to Tuesday. So let's now look at the NAM 3 kilometer. Let's see what they have. So let's now go towards 17Z, 18Z, 21Z. Look, see pretty much your whole warm sector in that general area is going to be seeing south easterlies at your surface. Look at this over. This is your first photograph in the AM3 kilometer. That's where it is right there. Basically near College Station, somewhat. You have a thousand. You have 1,000 Cape, 1,100 mixed layer Cape. You obviously have 45 knots at surface to 1 kilometer. Then you're surpassing the 80s at 8 kilometers. Really good EMLs. You have obviously a pretty strong parent flow here with your shear as well. Getting a really good photograph. SRH is very high at 636 meters per second squared at surface of 3 kilometers. You have a pretty good orientation between your 166 vectors. Again, really looking at a pretty significant tornado threat though down here. I mean, definitely it is 10 sig worthy. I'm not necessarily sure if it's really worth 15 sig necessarily just yet. But yeah, definitely looking at a pretty good risk down here, and then obviously further up towards DFW, we'll be seeing more of a kind of a wind and hail threat. So you are going to be seeing a decent wind threat and as well a hail threat towards up here. Because of that, overall, you're going to be seeing some pretty good lapse rates as well. You are going to be seeing that dry line advection, your dry line advection, so you are eventually going to be seeing some significant hail with this. But let's now go ahead and get a look at the overall mixed layer Cape forecast on the NAM 3 kilometer. So by around 15Z, you start to see kind of that instability starting to creep up down towards the coastal areas. And then by 18Z, starts to make its way, and 19Z starts to make its way towards kind of that slight risk and just getting toward the enhanced risk. But again, you're not seeing your prime instability just yet in that warm sector or in your main area of the warm sector. But let's now look at now by kind of 22Z, there you start to see some more instability towards your slight risk. So it's going to kind of be just along that dry line. So your instability is going to start to really appear right from your dry line. So you start to get these semi-discrete or multi-cell discrete cells developing. Going to bring in mainly the hail and wind in the morning or in the very beginning. And once we kind of get towards now past 1Z, you're going to start getting these big tornado threats. Down here, you're going to be seeing around 2,000, surpassing 2,000 mixed layer Cape. As well, you are going to be seeing, again, that really strong little jet. You're going to be seeing that very strong SRH. You are going to be seeing just overall pretty strong kinematic and thermodynamic support. I mean, look at this photograph right here. It is slightly contaminated. But again, you have 1,400 Cape, 1,900 mixed layer Cape, really enlarged photographs, very much back to the surface. So, and then we go towards now, really towards now 4Z. You're gonna really watch out. You have really nasty. These are the best photographs. You have a really, very significant veer back of your bias here, but you are as well watching out for these embedded tornadoes within the QLCS overnight towards College Station, and just all over eastern Texas. So definitely watching out for some significant cells developing embedded within that squall line. But let's now look at the overall surface-based cape embedded with the photographs. This is kind of a new thing here, which I really like. So as we now kind of go towards, if it loads for us, this is 15Z, 16Z, 17Z. So these photographs, your enlarged and ideal photographs will be there because of that 850 millibar and your stereo kinemax support. So you are going to be seeing some very enlarged and elongated photographs. But as we now go toward around 19Z and 18Z, you start to see the photographs are going to start to really shrink in size a little bit. It's going to kind of look like a March 13th type photograph. But there, the instability kind of finally kicks in across central Texas, and then by really 0Z, your main area to really watch out for at this point is going to be right here. You guys see your photographs are, that's where your elongated photographs are going to be. It's going to be your main area to really watch out for. So if you just click anywhere here, you are going to be seeing pretty much a really decent sounding here. But again, you are going to be seeing kind of an isolated threat, specifically after 0Z. So it will be more overnight threat. And it's gonna, I think it's going to be more of a really nasty storm mode, which is why I don't think a moderate risk is warranted because of just how messy the storm mode is. And just the threat of a QLC, it's kind of really just, or just the threat of this kind of convection eating up this the instability, because again that instability starts to really move in by 19Z. So there's definitely a few things just to keep a close eye on. Again, there is definitely justice for going a moderate, but there's just a lot of things that you could argue that would argue just to be safe and go enhanced, which is why I think it should stay enhanced. But by 20Z and 19Z, you have just a lot of semi or multicellular discretes kind of just all over the place. These are gonna be your kind of your hailers, kind of just developing along that drawing line with some pretty good forcing, as well as some pretty good lapse rates. But your better lapse rates will be kind of towards the NAM and instead of the NAM per kilometer. But by 23Z, there you see kind of that kind of squall line developing here. That's going to be your threat for embedded hail, embedded winds, and as well embedded tornadoes, and as well your embedded supercells by 1Z, 2Z. Like I said, by kind of after 1Z, you're going to be seeing some chances for some kind of supercells developing here across College Station, across Austin, and just north of. So this is gonna be your area. So here's Austin, here's Houston, here's College Station. Just a little area triangle. Really have to watch out for a few supercells overnight. So there you see those supercells. These are gonna be a big threat at 4Zs. Like I said, 4Z you can't sleep on this big multi supercellular storms kind of just in our lines. So really watching out for the tornado potential. And then by 7Z, 8Z, really watching out for embedded tornadoes in a strong QLCS in far eastern Texas near Tyler, near Shreveport, Louisiana. Definitely cannot sleep on this. This could definitely be a big tornado spawner as well with the warm air advection and the overall really strong kinematic and thermodynamic support. But let's now look at the day 3. This is the big day right here. So let's see what we have here. So let's look at the NAM. We're not going to look at the NAM 3 kilometer because it's really not in range just yet. But here's by 15Z already strong. 50 knot little jet kind of just pushing in across its warm sector. And by 18Z it really amplifies it a lot. So by 18Z your main area to really watch out for. It's going to be kind of just to the southeast of that surface low. So this is going to be the area to watch out for at 18Z. Kind of just this northern area. And then by 21Z, your threat kind of starts to really go down here. So by 21Z, you can see this really starts to this Vort Max and kind of just your strongest part of that little just going to push it right over that moderate risk. But by 21Z, there you see really strong wind. We're talking 66, 70 knots at your 850 millibar, and then seeing widespread 70 plus knots as well in the middle of your enhanced and moderate risk. But let's just click a random setting right here and near Monroe, Louisiana, and near Alexandria. They are very much contaminated, but you can kind of see the ideal photographs. Your photographs are going to be very much enlarged. You are going to start to see your EML start to kind of pop up a little bit, a little slight EML here at 700 millibar. Really high SRH though. Really good orientation between your 1 and 6 kilometers. You are going to be seeing pretty much southeasterlies all over your warm sector by 18Z just across the river Mississippi. Really enlarged photograph. You're going to see that larger EML where your lapse rates are going to be a little bit higher because that's where you're still seeing that overday heating and diurnal heating. Really very much back to southeasterlies and very strong veering. So this is a very good tornado sounding here. You have the perfect environment by 21Z. There's to see now by Jackson and that general. You guys have to really keep a close eye on it. There you see very ideal streamwise photograph. 45 knots at surface to 1 kilometer and 52 knots at surface to 3 kilometers. Your ideal perpendicular wind bob orientation. 2,100 cape, 1,500 mixed layer cape. Even your lifted index is pretty high, -8. That's pretty much really unstable. Your lapse rates are going to be at around 7.1 at 3, and your mid-level lapse rates are going to be pretty high as well. Even your low lapse rates are going to be pretty high, 6.7 right here. So definitely really good instability is going to start to develop here. But just you have a pretty insane photograph, a really insane photograph. I mean, look at this photograph, insane, and this is a pretty much insane environment. So this is definitely screaming a moderate risk pretty far out. I mean, those photographs are just your ideal stream-wise textbook tornado examples. If you're looking at a high caliber, high echelon event, that's going to be your photograph in the textbook, and that's exactly what we're seeing right here. And there's a lot of confidence in this event within models in general as well in your ensembles. But 18Z, there's your surface low right there. So you're going to be seeing those southeasterlies basically right here to the southeast. As we're going to be watching a threat for a confluence band across Louisiana right here. So we are watching out for prefrontal confluence bands. But let's just look anywhere in south by Mississippi. Look at that sounding. 3,000 cape, 1,700 mixed layer cape. I mean, this is just your ideal. That's just your ideal photograph as well. I mean, it's very much backed. You have extreme veering with height right there. You have look at each eye. I know we don't care about the energy helicity index much, but that is very high. 8.5 is extremely high. Look at your overall 1 to 6 kilometer orientation. Your lifted index at -9, so there's signs of extreme instability. And look how thick your cape layer is. As well, you do have some pretty high lapse rates at 7.4 between your surface and 3 kilometers, as well as 7.0 uh at 3 to 6 kilometers. So you have a really good environment right here. I mean, you are talking about pretty unstable environment, and you have again these back southeasterlies. We go right towards a surface cyclone. Again, really big threat. You have 7 point. I mean, you have some really good lapse rates here on the NAM. The NAM is having a really high caliber event. You have really back southeasterlies. I mean, your storm slinky is perfect with the C shape. 2,238 joules per kilogram at mixed layer K. That is just absolutely insane. By 21Z, you have a bigger threat now towards now this is now the threats moving towards Jackson, Mississippi. Look at this here. I mean, this is an absolutely insane photographs. I mean, this is like a moderate risk right here. Really, again, your stream-wise photograph right there. You have your kind of northeast or motion, which is going to be perpendicular to your front. You have, again, those back southeasterlies, 514 SRH at surface of 3 kilometers. You do have your each eye almost at a 9.0, which is absolutely insane. You do even your 3 capes pretty high at 187. 2000 mixed layer cape. I mean, you have a really good, you have a very good EML right there. I mean, this is just your ideal photograph for a tornado outbreak, and that's where it is right there. So Jackson, Mississippi. Let's go near Macomb, Mississippi. You guys are just really in a big threat. Absolutely no doubt about it. You guys are a really significant threat for a tornado outbreak. And if we go towards now, kind of closer to Hattiesburg, again, same thing. You're just gonna be seeing this just insane photographs all over the place. So definitely a very significant tornado outbreak is very much likely to unfold. I mean, look at this sounding right here. 428 SRH at surface of 1 kilometer. You have 555 at surface of 3 kilometers. I mean, this is just absolutely insane here. I mean, this is just these are very scary sounding. The fact that they're 3 days out, and we actually saw these even more than 3 days out, is very scary to think about. Let's now go ahead and look at the mixed layer cape here. Again, mixed layer cape is gonna be pretty high with that lapse rates really allowing for your really good instability to develop in a pretty unstable environment. So if we look at this is a mixed layer cape at 18Z. You have mixed layer cape all over the place at surpassing 2,000 just to the southeast of your surface cyclone. So that's going to be your ideal area to watch out for right here. Very good sounding right here as well. Almost 2,800 cape, 2,400 mixed layer cape. I mean, these are really good soundings. I mean, your ideal photograph. And then by 21Z, now you see your highest mixed layer cape surpassing 2,000. Surpassing 2,000 right in the dead center of your right in the dead center of your kind of warm sector at this point, and that's gonna be this is just, I know it's contaminated, but that photograph is absolutely insane. I mean, you have a slight EML, you have a very thick cape layer right here. You're definitely be seeing a lot of negative buoyancy right here. 7.5 your surface at 3 kilometers. So we are seeing really high lapse rates. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. And last but not least, let's look right here at your surface-based cape with the photographs, which is going to be pretty scary to look at because these are going to be pretty scary to look at. So look at 15Z. Look at your 15Z already. You have your ideal photographs, your enlarged photographs all across the map, all across your warm sector. And then by 18Z, look at this. I mean, this is just absolutely, I mean, this is absolutely insane. Look at the ideal photograph right here. I mean, this is your textbook photograph. Oh my god, that is absolutely insane. You have those back southeasterlies. You have 2,300 cape to the 100 mixed layer cape. You have, this is a pretty much almost perfect tornado stunning, basically. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is a really good area to watch out for. I mean, look at this. Pretty much a ton of instability. If we just go to southeast Mississippi, same exact thing. You're going to be seeing these very large photographs. Back southeasterlies, very strong streamline vorticity and vertical vorticity. And by 21Z, same thing. Really watching out. By 21Z is going to be pretty concerning when it comes to the Jackson, Mississippi area. Look at this. 3,100 cape here to the 400 mixed layer cape. -9 in your lifted index. You're seeing 8.9 in your EHI. You're going to be seeing just, this is just absolutely insane. I mean, this is a very significant tornado outbreak likely to unfold. And I'll have more updates on it later. But I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later.